It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect, and I'm into this game, yeah, we'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the top. Right hand from my boy, double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Ferrall has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. With the one and only Joe Ranieri in Miami, I'm Ferrall in New York. This is Coast to Coast on SportsGrid. Smarter to be on SportsGrid. We're in hour 3 here, the final hour of the show on a Monday, and we're still talking NFL for a stretch here. The Panthers beat the Bills 31-26. Bryce Young, 6 of 8, 70 yards, a TD. Had a fourth down conversion in his one series. Here's his new coach talking about how wonderful Bryce Young is. Canales.
Oh, it was great, right? Couldn't have dreamt it better. You know, a nice long drive, 12 plays to get the guys some good work, get them tired in the drive, you know, a fourth down conversion in there, but saw him extend plays with his legs, keeping his eyes down the field, finding guys, and you can see the carryover from practice to the game of people creating space, the play after the play. Those are the things that are so critical for us. He handled the run game with, you know, just with great expertise and got us to the right runs in those situations. So I felt great about it. Yeah, poise, eyes down the field, you know, that aggressive nature, but being able to do it within the confines of what's the smartest thing to do in this situation. So he kept it alive, found us a completion, and then we ended up coming away with a touchdown a little bit later.
Well, obviously he has to do press conferences because he's the new head coach. But I got to tell you, I saw none of that from Bryce Young last year. I thought he was awful. C.J. Stroud cooked his ass like nobody's business, being the best rookie. He should have been the number 1 pick taken. And I never strayed from that. I always thought, you and I talked about this a million times when he was at Ohio State, that he was going to be the best quarterback in that draft. And I didn't think Bryce Young did anything, and I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, that whole thing sounded like, yeah, so she's 350 pounds, but she's got a nice personality. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you threw him out there against the third teamers, and yeah, he completed 5 of 6 passes. Like, what are you talking about here? Let's not dress this thing up to be anything other than it is. This guy has got bust written all over it. Although, listen, Canales did revive Geno Smith, did revive Baker Mayfield, but I think this is a totally different animal here, Scotty.
Well, those guys actually played in the NFL for a while when he fixed them.
Right.
They had already been tuned up in the NFL, and they were way ahead of where Bryce Young is. I think the guy can coach. We'll see what happens. I have no faith in it yet at all. I got to see proof. I got to see wins. The Lions beat the Steelers 24-17. Wilson was 2 of 2 for 26. They talked about how great he was afterwards. It was embarrassing. Fields 3 of 4 for 40 yards. They both led scoring drives. Here's Mike Tomlin talking about his QB1 decision.
We'll make a decision at the end of our work week this upcoming week. We got 3 days of Steelers versus Steelers work, and why not do it then and kind of minimizes the Steelers versus Steelers work when we start making decisions prior to the completion of that. We've got ample time to prepare for Atlanta and make whatever decisions or announcements regarding divisional labor or pecking orders and so forth. And so we'll do it at the end of the work week. They both moved the ball. They won possession downs. They were able to put the ball in the end zone, things that we hadn't done to this point sufficiently enough in the preseason.
He literally never says anything ever. And we run the clips of him never saying anything ever on this show ad nauseum because it's so fantastic. He never says anything ever. And he never tells you what he's going to do or anything else. His press conferences are the grandest waste of time ever. And let me add, while I'm at it, as a season ticket holder of this team, they suck. They suck. This team sucks. Like, I watched them. I don't know what they're doing. And I don't know decisions on what. Like, the entire team is atrocious. I have heard all I can take about how, their offensive line's way better. They moved Jones over to the left side. They got this kid that they drafted on the right side. He hurt his knee, but he'll be fine. Their offensive, their running game's great. And, well, Warren's injured. And the other one, Najee's never done anything. Their defense is great when they play. I love their defense when they play. I love TJ Watt when he plays. He's starting to remind me of his brother. He's out. He's always out at some point or another during the season. So it's just a matter of it's when, not if. It's when it's going to happen, not if. The guy I'm excited about on that team is Patrick Queen. Now, that guy I would send into an alley after the bar lets out at 4 a.m. to get me to my car on time. But I think they look terrible. I've heard all this 8.5 wins and all this other nonsense. You got to be kidding me, Joe. I watched them. Their preseason was so disastrous. Now, I know the preseason doesn't matter, and thank God they're playing Atlanta in week 1 because they're worse.
Exactly. And they had a worse preseason, if that was even possible. And I don't know why we're dragging out the decision. I think it's kind of over. Tomlin, he already knows what's going on. Tomlin's got a pretty good handle on what that locker room is. I don't think there's a decision to make at all. You send out Justin Fields, all things being equal. He does give you the more athletic quarterback and the ability to be able to run the ball, which, Scotty, ultimately with Pittsburgh, if they can't run, they're not winning anything anyway. So, go with Fields. Get him in that position, and you can always bring in Russell Wilson if something happens to him. I don't think you're going to lose a lot either way. It's the defense that's got to carry the day as usual there in Pittsburgh.
I want to be the first to say it's the same old story at offensive coordinator. First, we abused Canada and got rid of him, and now we have Art Smith to abuse, who was an awful coach at Atlanta, and everyone gives him credit for what he did in Tennessee. He didn't do anything in Tennessee. He had Derrick Henry running the football. That's what he had going in Tennessee. I don't want to hear it. He was awful as the head coach of the Falcons, and now he's running the offense, which is embarrassing. And I have tickets to every game. I wonder how those are going to sell. The Packers rolled the Ravens 30-7. The Vikings smacked the Eagles 26-3. I love how Philly didn't even show up for their game at home at the Link in front of their fans. I mean, they literally didn't show up for the game. Texans beat the Rams 17-15. Now, that's a team that finds a way to win. Jets beat the Giants 10-6. Your Jets, Joe, are favored to win the East.
Yeah, kind of crazy, right? And listen, as long as Aaron, I think it's fair to say, on paper, they're a very, very good team, provided Aaron Rodgers stays on the field. If he does, Scotty, it's they got a pretty good shot at doing it. If he doesn't, then we know what's going to happen. They're going to be a 4-win team, and it's going to be fire everyone and start from scratch.
Seattle beat the Browns 37-33. Geno threw for 62 yards at TD. Hundley threw for 146 and 3 TDs. Hundley looked really good. The Browns will leave Nick Chubb on the PUP list to start the season, making him ineligible for the first 4 games. Seahawks lose Nasoa. I don't even know how you say that name. Try that 5 times on a bottle of Belvedere. Uchenna Nasoa. Yeah. I have Nasoa. I couldn't pronounce it if you tried me. Their best edge rusher, a knee injury, 2 to 6 weeks. 2 to 6 weeks. You think they got a nice window there? He'll be back somewhere between 2 and a month and a half. Trade They trade for Travis Gibson from the Jags, who I also have never heard of. Sunday, the Titans beat the Saints 30-27. Levis, 118 yards, led a scoring drive. Pollard, 17 yards rushing. He caught a couple passes, 27 yards. The Titans linebacker Chance Campbell tore his ACL. He's out for the season. Another great injury in the preseason. Let's play all of our players, see if we can get them injured. The Broncos beat the Cardinals 38-12. Boy, are the Cardinals awful. Zay Jones has been suspended 5 games for violating the league's personal conduct policy. He was arrested in November of 23 for misdemeanor domestic battery, but charges were dropped in March of 24 after authorities declined to pursue it. But apparently they still suspended him anyway. That's like saying, we can't prove he did it, but we think he did it anyway.
That's right. Exactly correct, which is just goes to show you it doesn't matter. It only matters what they think happened. So see you in about 6 weeks.
Jamar Chase has finally practiced with the Bengals. He's about to get very rich very soon. It just takes Mike Brown a while to get things done. He's like my mother-in-law.
I told y'all time and time again, Trey Murphy the third. Trey Murphy the third. I'm telling y'all, this guy can absolutely ball as a 3-and-D guy, and he's going to take the next step.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Hey, let's say it comes down for Matt Kuchar in the FedEx Cup ball. Let's say he doesn't make a cut, and it comes down to one shot. And that's a good point. And he keeps his card for the top 125 because he did make the jump from, I think it was 113 to 103. So he made a 10-spot jump. So he's got, 17, or let's see, that was not good math. He's got about 20.
Not a math bot. The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
Do you believe that Chase, even though he's practicing and everything else, 2 years left on his rookie deal, that he should get that money now? If you were Mike Brown and he's got 2 years left on that deal, would you give him the money now, or would you convince his reps that, why are we doing this now? I mean, we got 2 years, and then he could be even richer then. That's what I would say. Like, what's the difference? You really want it now? We'll do it now. And then in 2 years, you'll be crying for more money, and I promise you, I'm not giving it to you.
Yeah, the problem, though, now, Scotty, is that, okay, so I go out there and I get my legs taken out. Now, all of a sudden, I'm hurt. What good does that do me? So, I mean, get your money while you can. And quite honestly, the flip side of that is, listen, Mike Brown, pay the man now, because if he goes out there with Burrow and sets all sorts of records this year, you're not going to be able to afford him next year. So you might as well do it now, because one way or the other, you're paying.
Fair enough. It's kind of backwards what I said in a sense.
Right.
I don't believe, like, I wouldn't want to pay him now, but I would. But that's the preferred route because it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And you're also going to piss Burrow off because that's his boy. So.
Yeah, and look, I think Burrow. We were talking on last week about comeback player of the year. Now this guy, his wrist is fixed. He might be able to light it up. I mean, I know everyone thinks it's Kirk Cousins, but I'll take the younger Burrow over Kirk Cousins. 6 waits till Sunday. Commanders double up the Pats 20-10. I just wanted to say, let's let Mayo, the coach, talk first because this team's another one that really stinks.
Would Drake May play if Jacoby's unavailable?
I would like to sit here and say 100%. He's our second best quarterback on our roster right now.
But so is that a yes or?
Next question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure until I watch the film.
What stood out to you about Drake's performance?
Yeah, I think he showed great poise. He went out there. His quarterback rating was 100 or something like that. He made plays. He looked like he was in control of the offense and did a good job for us. We always say, look, the best players are going to play. No matter if it's a quarterback or an offensive line, it doesn't matter. We're going to play the best players.
That's just not true because, first of all, their best player they got rid of in Judon. He's the best player on the team. They got rid of him. They didn't play him. And now this kid has outplayed that hack-ass Jacoby Brissett, who is hack-ass city. I don't care what anybody says. I've been hearing about this guy being serviceable now for about 5 years. All I ever hear about is, don't worry about it. We'll just put Jacoby Brissett in there. We'll be fine for 4 weeks. I don't want to hear it. This guy, now look, I don't deny Mayo can coach, but he can't coach this team out of the nightmare they're in. This is an absolute nightmare. I mean, this guy, can you imagine what his record's going to be after 3 or 4 years? Because they give him about 4 or 5 years tops. His record is going to be so awful, he may never coach again.
Yeah, and this is, I think they've already decided that this is a absolute rebuild year. There's no weapons on this team at all besides Ramondre Stevenson, but they're basically going to stack the box and they're going to force Drake May to throw the ball, and he's got nobody to throw it to. So what is the dip? Just start him. I mean, get the kid as many reps as humanly possible and hope you don't get him killed. I don't even know what the discussion is with Jared May. I really don't.
What's your thoughts? I know you know how I feel about Sean Taylor and the Canes, but what do you think of the Commanders building a statue for him? I think it's great.
I think it's awesome. Absolutely awesome. I mean, Scotty, what could have we do it every year when we think back and what could have been with him? We're talking about one of the all-time greats, him, Ed Reed, that whole core that came out of the U, man, that secondary, Hall of Fame player after Hall of Fame player, and he would have been at the top of the list.
I still can't believe what happened to him. I just can't even fathom what happened to him. It's crazy. Like, what do you think's worse, Sean Taylor or McNair?
Oh, McNair was terrible too. But I mean, the guy was sleeping in his house. I mean, there was a backstory McNair, but this was just like a robbery gone bad. There was no reason for any of it. And that's the sad part. They were both terrible, way terrible. And he was in his playing career at that point. So right in the heart of it. Terrible.
I think there's a Netflix special on right now about McNair's murder. You can actually watch it. It's creepy what happened to that dude. The Chiefs have signed Juju Smith-Schuster back after his release from the Pats. What do you think of that move?
I heard he just dropped the contract. So, yeah, that's great. Don't trust him well, why not? I mean, listen, familiarity, right? So that's what that's all about for a song and a dance. Can't hurt. I don't think it matters, Scotty, who the wide receiver is as long as Mahomes throwing it to him.
All right, roster moves. Staying. Zach Wilson has made the Broncos, and he lit it up this weekend. Cuts, Mike White, Dolphins, Russell Gage, Ravens, Sterling Shepard, Bucks, Anthony Brown of the Bills, who? Kadon Slovis, Colts, wide receiver Denzel Mims, Jags, Boston Scott of the Rams, the running back. They should give him a job back in New England. quarterback Will Greer and D-back Perry Nickerson of the Eagles and quarterback Ian Book of the Chiefs. All those guys cut. The Broncos are looking to trade Samaje Perine. That's their move they're trying to do with Perine. Otherwise, they're going to cut his ass too. The NFL and NFLPA mandate the use of a new device to measure field conditions before regular season games. A set of universal guidelines for the league's 30 playing surfaces is also expected to be in place for next season. Oh, you mean like some of those dumpy fields they play on now, like that one at FedEx Field in D.C.? How hack-ass is that stadium and that field? That's not safe for anybody to play on. I mean, honestly, I could go on and on the litany of bad surfaces in the NFL. Don't get me started. The Hall of Fame cuts have changed. The waiting period for coaches has moved from 5 years to 1 year. That means Belichick and Pete Carroll could both be in next year if they don't take new jobs. How about Ravens O-line coach Joe D'Alessandris? He died at 70 on Sunday morning after complications from a surgery earlier this summer. 45 years in coaching at all levels. Very sad story about the Ravens offensive line coach.
I told y'all time and time again, Trey Murphy the third. Trey Murphy the third. I'm telling y'all, this guy can absolutely ball as a 3-and-D guy, and he's going to take the next step.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Hey, let's say it comes down for Matt Kuchar in the FedEx Cup fall. Let's say he doesn't make a cut, and it comes down to one shot. And that's a good point. And he keeps his card for the top 125 because he did make the jump from, I think it was 113 to 103. So he made a 10-spot jump. So he's got, 17, or let's see, that was not good math. He's got about 20.
Not a bad one. The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
I just wanted to mention that Fanatics refiled their lawsuit against Marvin Harrison Jr. and expands it, listen to this, to include fraud allegations against his father, the Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison Sr. So Fanatics apparently not interested in the Harrison family at all, in not so many words. Former first-round pick Malik Willis, I think he just got traded from the Titans to the Packers for a 7th-round pick. I have no idea who will back up Levis now, but Willis is headed to Lambeau and Green Bay to back up Love or be one of the backups of Love.
Scotty, to me, that's actually a pretty good move for him because now he gets to go with LaFleur, and we all see what happened to Jordan Love sitting there for a couple of years learning behind him. I think that's a great, because I don't think he ever would have sniffed the field in Tennessee. So it's a good move for him.
Okay, so look who's backing up Levis now. Mason Rudolph, the former Steeler.
Oh, that's right.
I'll never forget. I'm at the Steelers team hotel in Indianapolis going to Monday Night Football. And I go into the restaurant with my son. There's no one in there. We had just landed. We're starving. We wanted to eat. We don't care. The place just opened up for lunch at like high noon. And we walk in. There's nobody in there except one guy. And it was Mason Rudolph sitting by himself eating lunch. And I said to my son, I go, "That's Mason Rudolph." And he goes, "So what?" He didn't ask him
he has
for
that
his
effect.
autograph. He said, "Can I get a burger? I'm starving." I go, "Yeah, no problem." Keegan Bradley shoots even par on Sunday to end up at 12 under and hold off Burns, Oberg, and Adam Scott to win the BMW in Castle Rock, Colorado, and $3.6 million to go with it. He got into the field at 50th this week, now 4th, heading into the Tour Championship at East Lake in Atlanta. Look at that. The Ryder Cup captain went from 50th to 4th, and there he is, 4 shots off of your boy Scheffler. Those are all the PGA Tour Championship standings as we speak, and none of those people right there have a chance whatsoever in winning a nickel in Atlanta this weekend. I just wanted to say that. Those are the starting scores. You see how they do it? They do tiered scoring. So your boy, didn't I just see it? Scheffler, he gets to start with a lead right off the bat at this thing. He's at 10. Xander Schauffele at 8. Matsuyama at 7. I think he got injured in Castle Rock and withdrew. So God only knows what he's going to do at East Lake. Don't worry, Smiley Kaufman will be at East Lake doing a show this week on SportsGrid, and we'll talk more about it as the week goes on. All right, people worried about Doncic's fitness during the offseason again after seeing him at a charity game to honor Goran Dragic. I think we already showed it on the show. Do you have a comment? Here it is again. What do you think of how fat he is? I mean, look at him. I mean, what is happening here? I don't even know. Like, what is happening there? He took like 45 steps. The charity event, no whistles called in this game whatsoever. Look at how fat he is.
That is fantastic. That's wealth right there, Scotty. You see that? See that in the midsection right there? That's about $35 million a year right there, enjoying himself in the offseason. Leave the guy alone, will you? I mean, he's already carrying the team as it is. Just let him hit a couple of Golden Corral buffets. He'll work it all off by the time the season gets here. Leave him alone.
The NBA files a motion to dismiss the Warner Brothers Discovery lawsuit for breach of contract. The NBA alleges that WBD tried to rewrite the terms of the Amazon offer and then accept those terms. What they really did was, at the end of the day, in Portuguese, they shafted Turner Sports and TNT, and that's the end of them. They got 1 year left doing the NBA, and then see you later. Saturday, the Sun beat the Liberty 72-64. I was talking about it with Coach. Things got chippy at the finish. Several texts dished out. The Lynx beat the Fever by 10 to clinch a playoff berth. Sunday, Asia Wilson at the buzzer won it for the Aces over the Sky, 77-75. She reached 4,500 career points and ties Brianna Stewart for fastest in WNBA history to do it in 217 games. Angel Reese had her third consecutive game with at least 20 rebounds for the Sky. Also tied her mark for most double-doubles by a rookie with 22. Was 4 of 16 from the floor. That's what Coach was talking about. She's 4 of 16 from the floor, but we're bragging about how many double-doubles she has. Anyway, we gave you all the WNBA plays for tonight and the odds for who's going to make the playoffs, the top teams in the conference. We continue on C2C.
I told y'all time and time again, Trey Murphy the third. Trey Murphy the third. I'm telling y'all, This guy can absolutely ball as a 3-and-D guy, and he's going to take the next step.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Hey, let's say it comes down for Matt Kuchar in the FedEx Cup fall. Let's say he doesn't make a cut, and it comes down to one shot. And
That's a good point.
And he keeps his card for the top 125 because he did make the jump from, I think it was 113 to 103. So he made a 10-spot jump. So he's got, 17, or let's see, that was not good math. He's got about 20.
Not a bad one. The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
Adam Cabot is our NFL insider. He's been touring all the NFL camps over the last month of preseason action and joint practices and preseason games and injuries and cuts and everything else. You can see him here on SportsGrid across the board. You can see him on Coast to Coast regularly. You can follow him on X at Kaplan NFL, almost 3 decades covering the National Football League, and he's ready for the regular season in 10 days to start up or whatever it is on the 5th with the Ravens and Chiefs. Should be awesome. But let's start today. We got a double shot with Adam right now. Let's start with the CeeDee Lamb deal in Dallas. It finally got done, and he is rich.
Yeah, and look, I told you every time you've asked me, anyone on SportsGrid, I said it's going to get done before the season starts. It's a priority. This is the first one to get done, which is what I said 2 months ago. Dak Prescott's is going to be harder, no question about it. It's more complex, but they had to get as close as they could to get to Justin Jefferson's money at $35 million a year. Lamb's going to make $34 million a year. We'll see what the real structure looks like. It's a 4-year extension. By the way, most of these receiver extensions have been at least 4 years. So look, the bottom line is, you just said it. He's going to get paid. He got paid, and they had to get this deal done. The only thing that you worry about, Scott, when you have holdouts, he was holding out. He was on his 5th-year option. It valued around $18 million. You do worry about when a guy's working out on his own. That's physical shape. It's when you report to the team, are you in football shape? And they're not going to know that until he starts working with them tomorrow. So that is a concern. But the bottom line is he's going to be signed, sealed, or delivered. This had to get done. What a season he had. There's no question about it, leading the NFL in receiving and receptions. But the one thing about this player, CeeDee Lamb, is when you talk to NFL people, Scott, they'll tell you he's nowhere close to as talented as Justin Jefferson, but he puts up numbers. So you had to pay him. You can't knock him for the numbers, the production. Like, the guy's great. He's durable also. But in terms of offensive skill, he's not as talented as Justin Jefferson. Jefferson, by the way, has been an absolute stud as well. But bottom line is the Cowboys paid up. They had to do it. Now they can turn their attention to Dak Prescott. And also, of course, Micah Parsons. Once again, the Cowboys wait and they pay.
I got to tell you, it's worth arguing about, not between you and I, but by anyone's standards. The guy led the league in receptions and touchdowns.
I know.
And the fact that people don't think he's as talented as Jefferson, he's $1 million off the mark. So apparently he is as talented as Jefferson. And I guess the leftover language would be the $1 million shy of what Jefferson makes Jefferson a better player. If you want to believe that, I'm not sure I buy that he's that much better than CeeDee Lamb. Seriously, I think they're both awesome, equally awesome.
Yeah, and again, the numbers, Lamb puts up major numbers. Now, he is a factor of a passing offense. As a matter of fact, with Zeke Elliott back as their starting running back in the twilight of his career, they're going to have to be a passing offense. They're not going to win by running the football with Zeke. He's well past his prime. It's almost hard to believe, Scott, in today's NFL, you can't get a better, younger running back, but they haven't done that. They've reshaped their offensive line over the last couple of years. Their first rounder, Guyton, will be a starter. But look, Tony Pollard's gone. He's now with the Titans. I was with the Titans a couple weeks ago. He'll be their starting running back there. They're going a different direction in Dallas, but it's all about CeeDee Lamb right now, the first of the other deals that they have to get done.
I got to tell you, I think he'll do better than Jefferson again this year. I think that
the quarterback.
Look, the quarterback situation in Minnesota to me is not conducive to that happening. I think maybe down the road, this kid McCarthy could turn into a stud and be, hook up central with Jefferson and make big numbers. But we already know what CeeDee Lamb's going to do with Dak Prescott. He's going to light it up, barring injury.
Oh, I mean, he had 136 receptions. When you're a passing offense in today's league, and you have a good play caller like Mike McCarthy, and also we should give Brian Schottenheimer, the OC, though he doesn't call the plays, he helps structure the offense. Schotty is a forward-thinking offensive coordinator. He's analytically driven. When you work with him, you're going to throw the football. And I give McCarthy credit because he was sort of a balanced run the ball game guy. He's not anymore. They're super aggressive throwing it. And let's not forget with Mike Zimmer as their defensive coordinator, how that defense is going to change.
Wow. I can't wait to see how they do the Prescott and Parsons deals. Obviously, they're worth $10 billion. They have more money than God, but how they structure these next two deals is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and look, with Prescott, it's more complicated because if he just waits, okay, if he waits till next March to get a deal done, you're looking at well over $60 million a season. And it could approach $65 million. That's the stratosphere now because you got a bunch of deals around $55 million. The next group's $60 to $65 million. Dak is under contract, but this is his last year. And then you've got the Micah Parsons deal where he is now the premier pass rusher in the National Football League. He's got to get a next big deal. And here's the problem. Once again, Jerry Jones waits and waits and waits, and he always pays more than the market bears. He shouldn't do that, but he doesn't. Agents love him for it.
Let's talk about the champs. They made a move today, and they brought back an old friend.
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster's back. He signed there 2 years ago on a one-year deal worth just under $4 million. It was heavily incentivized. He would have had to put up major production to make more than that. But look, when you look at Juju Smith-Schuster, he's only 27 years old. You would think he's be like 29 or 30, but he was 20 years old when he was drafted by the Steelers. But look, the Chiefs are bringing him back, as I understand, on a one-year deal. But here's the fascinating part about this, and we'll get into why they brought him back. But here's the fascinating part: the Patriots owed him $7 million, fully guaranteed, and they still cut him. Scott, that tells you that they didn't want him on the roster. He did not do very well. He got his first 2 years of his salary fully guaranteed with the Patriots. But remember, Bill Belichick, the former head coach of personnel control, and Belichick made that decision. But this group, think about it. The Patriots were in dire straits at wide receiver. They thought so little of Smith-Schuster that they cut him. But again, he's only 27 years old. The Chiefs, don't forget now, as we turn our attention to the Chiefs, they needed help at wide receiver. Hollywood Brown has got a shoulder issue. He didn't work today. He's been out for a couple weeks. They still got to show that he could take contact on that shoulder. You got the possibility of sometime during the season that Rashee Rice gets suspended. They're very young, the Chiefs are, at wide receiver. They need experience, and that's why they brought back Smith-Schuster. And by the way, he knows this offense under Andy Reid.
What's the real truth behind why he's dropped off so dramatically?
What I'm told is he's had a knee issue for several years. I remember back in 22, we go back to when he signed with the Chiefs. There were teams that told me they were concerned about one of his knees, the condition of it long term. And that's why he did not get that big free agent deal. Now, the Patriots, as I said, did give him 2 years at fully guaranteed. That kind of surprised me. But look, the Patriots moved on from him, and he didn't do much. But the Patriots had their quarterback problems from last year. They bring a guy, the Chiefs do, and a guy like Smith-Schuster, more of a slot receiver, an inside receiver than outside at this point of his career. He's kind of an older 27. You worry about the condition of at least one of his knees, as I was telling you about. But the guy's healthy now. He passed their physical. and he's going to practice with them this week, and he's going to have a role. And remember, Xavier Worthy, their first-round pick, a rookie, very talented but very raw. We mentioned Rice, who's very talented. He's more of a slot receiver. Justin Ross, by the way, who's a guy who's been on and off their roster, pretty talented kid, a good training camp, has got good size. But the bottom line is they need depth at receiver now, and they're counting on Smith-Schuster.
Is that like the missing piece of losing Valdez-Scantling to put Schuster in that?
Exactly. Because now MVS, the one thing that MVS can do, you're talking about Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he can run and he's got good size. But yes, he would be that one guy, and he won't start. Juju's not going to start. He'll be a backup. But the bottom line is he gives him that veteran experience. And Andy Reid's a spread offensive guy. They want to run a lot, 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 tight end and 1 back. And to do that, they need.
You think they can win 3 in a row? Nobody's done it.
Oh, yeah. I know no one's ever done it. 3-peat. They absolutely can do it. It's going to be hard. The key, Scott, is health. You got to be healthy down the stretch.
When we come back, we'll talk about the Rams. They got some news, and we've got cuts coming tomorrow like nobody's business. We've already seen a lot of cuts today, and there's going to be more tomorrow. Like I said, we're talking to Adam Kaplan on Coast to Coast.
I told y'all time and time again, Trey Murphy the third. Trey Murphy the third. I'm telling y'all, this guy can absolutely ball as a 3-and-D guy, and he's going to take the next step.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Hey, let's say it comes down for Matt Kuchar in the FedEx Cup fall. Let's say he doesn't make a cut, and it comes down to 1 shot. And
that's a good point.
And he keeps his card for the top 125 because he did make the jump from, I think it was 113 to 103. So he made a 10-spot jump. So he's got, 17, or let's see, that was not good math. He's got about 20.
Not a math bot. The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
We're talking to Adam Kaplan, our NFL insider. The Rams got some good news today, finally, about our boy Puka Shells.
So the day that I was there, Scott, the Chargers were hosting the Rams for a joint practice 3 weeks ago yesterday, so just over 3 weeks. Puka Nacua, late in practice, suffered a knee injury. It actually turned out to be a bursa sac issue, okay? So it wasn't structural, but it was thought to be more of a weak injury, but it's actually been 3 weeks, but he's good to go. He actually worked today. He didn't do a lot since he's been out for a while. They're kind of limiting his practice time. So he'll be ready for week 1. He was kind of beat up from last season. What a great season he had as a rookie. Lots of minor ailments, but he got through it very well. And then, the other issue with the Rams is, yes, you get him back, but they're going to be without their left tackle, Lark Jackson, for two games. He was suspended last week for a violation of personal conduct policy. it's tough, man, for a right-handed quarterback. When you lose your blindside protector, Joe Newboom, if you might remember him, he replaced Andrew Whitworth when Whitworth retired. So he wound up being just a versatile backup. He'll have to fill in, but let's not forget, they play at the Lions week 1, and they also play on the road against a very aggressive Cardinal defense at week 2. That's not going to be easy to protect Matthew Stafford. That would be a concern. We'll get more to this when we project those games in week 1, but that does worry me. But thank goodness they got Puka Nacua back at wide receiver.
All right, let's start talking about roster moves because there's already been some, and I mentioned them already on the show, and I'll just rehash them for you. Zach Wilson has made the Broncos. He's staying. Cuts, Mike White, Dolphins, Russell Gage, Ravens, wide receiver Sterling Shepard of the Bucks, quarterback Anthony Brown of the Bills, Kaden Slovis of the Colts, the quarterback, wide receiver Denzel Mims of the Jags, Boston Scott, running back, Rams, quarterback Will Grier, and D-back Perry Nickerson of the Eagles, and quarterback Ian Book of the Chiefs, all cut today. And the Broncos are looking to trade running back Samaje Perine. Any thoughts on any of those moves that I just mentioned?
Yeah, Perine is more of a third down back. They're pretty deep at running back. Estime, the rookie running back from Notre Dame, is a big reason why they would put a running back on the trade market. Now, let's get to Zach Wilson, okay? Zach Wilson, by the way, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, I should mention this, 4 p.m. Eastern is the deadline to get down to 53. So if you hear a player is going to be on the roster, you're not going to know officially until tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. But getting back to Zach Wilson, he needs what we call hard coaching. He needs to play with more discipline. Yes, he had a decent training camp. He's kind of earned a roster spot as a backup, obviously. Bo Nix won that starting job. He kind of came on the last couple of weeks. And Sean Payton now, first time he's really going to get a guy from beginning to end, from scratch to develop a quarterback. But good for Zach Wilson to kind of get this job done. Boston Scott, you might remember, formerly of the Eagles, Mr. Touchdown against the Giants. He's looking for a job. But the big surprise to me, and I'll explain why. Mike White was signed to be the Dolphins' number 2 quarterback. It was sort of a foregone conclusion. No one really thought Skylar Thompson could win that job. Thompson does have a very good arm, but he's very, very accurate. A pretty good fit for Mike McDaniel's West Coast offense. I'll tell you what, man, when you could be accurate, Scott, when you could be accurate, you got a chance to play in this National Football League. Not saying he's Brock Purdy, but look at Brock Purdy playing in the same West Coast offense. He doesn't have a very good arm, but he's very, very accurate. But usually the big names, Scott, as we get closer to 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, that's when you see them cut and traded. We saw about 7 or 8 trades last week. The big one, though, Scott, and in the division, the Eagles acquired Jahan Dotson from Washington, man. That was one of those where you go, wow, Washington's really going to give up on him. But as I told you guys last week, Dotson fell out of favor with the new Washington front office and coaching staff. Eagles didn't care. They had a high grade on him for that draft 2 years ago. He's going to be their number 3 receiver. It's rare that you can get, and by the way, in the Eagles offense, he's more or less a starter because they're going to be heavy in 11 personnel. To be able to get a guy who's going to play like that, and they exchanged draft picks. They had to give up 1 of their 2/3, but they got a 5th back. Bottom line is to get a guy this late who's going to give you a pretty good role, it's a pretty good trade.
What was the deal with them over the weekend, with them going through the motions in that game against the Vikings at the Link, no less? Like their fans, can you imagine? I know it doesn't matter, it doesn't count, all the rest, but they literally they didn't show up at all.
Well, a couple things. This is, first of all, the crowd was dead. This was, Saturday was beautiful out here out east. It was a shore day, Jersey Shore Day. It was half filled. And the other thing is, the Eagles rested their starters. They played a couple backups of note, like Nolan Smith, their former first-round pick last year. It's surprising that he played as much as he did. But, yeah, they were just dead in that game. And, you just talked about the Vikings, by the way, and we know Sam Darnold's going to be their starter going forward. This is a big deal for Sam Darnold at 27 years old to kind of revive his career. We just talked about the West Coast offense that he played in last season with the Niners. There's a belief around the team that this is a really good fit for him because his thing is overthinking and processing, getting the ball out quickly, and that's the thing that you got to look at. Or you got to look at going forward. He could do well in that offense. And one more thing I do want to mention: keep an eye on the quarterback situation with the Patriots, because you and I talked about Drake May 3 weeks ago, and I said how raw he was. But one thing that Gerard Mayo said, and I'm glad he went public with this, he said, yes, Brissett's ahead, but we're going to give May a chance to win that job. And just as you know it, the last 2 weeks, May's made a big jump. He's actually out before Mayo went public with this. He said it, that Drake May's been better, but you got to be absolutely sure if you go with your first-round rookie quarterback that he's going to be able to handle the pressure of starting week one, because you don't want to lose a guy if he's not ready.
Well, I don't care who they play. It doesn't matter. That team's awful. I mean, you put him in there, he's dead meat, no matter what. And you know what? I think they'd rather see Brissett get beat up than their valuable draft pick.
Yeah, and by the way, he got knocked around last night, but he's going to be fine. But Drake May is so gifted, Scott. The thing is, he's got to settle down, let the game come to him. They'll hand it off a lot to Ramondre Stevenson, the running back who they brought back and extended. But the bottom line is May's super gifted. If he starts, Patriot fans have to be patient. It's not going to get done overnight, and I totally agree with you. They're not going to be very good, and people got to ease up a little bit on Drake May in his rookie season.
Yeah, this season's going to be a disaster up in Boston. I can't wait to see how the Eagles do going to Sao Paulo to take on the Packers on that Friday night, the 6th, to open their season. We'll find out if Sirianni's got his act together or if he's really on a hot seat. Adam, great stuff. See you later.
Okay.
I told y'all time and time again, Trey Murphy the third. Trey Murphy the third. I'm telling y'all, this guy can absolutely ball as a 3-and-D guy, and he's going to take the next step.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Hey, let's say it comes down for Matt Kuchar in the FedEx Cup ball. Let's say he doesn't make a cut, and it comes down to one shot. And
that's a good point.
And he keeps his card for the top 125 because he did make the jump from, I think it was 113 to 103. So he made a 10-spot jump. So he's got, 17, or let's see, that was not good math. He's got about
Not a bad one. The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
So, leftovers, I'm watching the U.S. Open. I'm watching this guy, Opelka from the USA. Never heard of him. But what a monster. This guy, this USA tennis player, looks like he's about 7 foot tall. I mean, he looks like Bigfoot. My man's got a beard he's rocking, and he is absolutely enormous. It's the biggest tennis player maybe I've ever seen in my life. Oh, my God. Plus the Monfils, the Frenchman, taking on Schwartzman in a tennis match right now, going into like the third set now, and it's got a 5-setter written all over it. I mean, it is just 1 point after the next, crazy. So the U.S. Open underway in New York. It's incredible in Queens. It's already rocking. The place is packed. They're expecting well over 1 million fans over the next 2 weeks. It's quite an event. We have the men's odds for the U.S. Open, I believe, at the very least. Do we have the men's odds for the U.S. Open? No? Yes? No? Yes, we do. Men's Open. There you go. I can't read that to save my ass, but I'll say this. I know that's our boy Alcaraz. Obviously, you know the Joker's going to be there. And Sinner, who failed the roid test. And they're still letting him play. How about this guy's got so much juice, no pun intended, that he can fail steroid tests and still play. Everybody else gets suspended for a year or 2 years. The women's side. All I know is Coco Gauff was a winner today. Madison Keys was a winner today. Going to be great. Sabalenka's a badass. So many great women's players. The U.S. Open in all its glory in Flushing, in Queens, at the U.S. Tennis Center and Arthur Ashe Stadium, Billie Jean King. It's all happening quickly over the next 2 weeks. Great weather today to start it in New York. Cooper Flagg, the great basketball phenom that's going to Duke, is signing a huge endorsement deal with New Balance. I have to say, my Kawhi New Balances were awesome. I did like playing in them. They were good shoes. Florida team wins the Little League World Series in Williamsport on a walk-off error by Chinese Taipei in extra innings. Florida wins it for Joe Ranieri. Floyd Mayweather and John Gotti III go the distance in their 8-round rematch. Floyd fired the ref of the fight after the second round. He just fired the ref. Like, Floyd Mayweather and John Gotti III. What could be worse than that? There could be nothing worse in sports than that fight right there. I mean, the Tyson fight might even be better than that. I have no idea, but that's embarrassing. This guy's still doing these exhibitions. It really is. He was one of the greatest fighters I ever saw, and now it's become he's like a joke. I don't care what anybody says. That's pathetic. The jersey that Babe Ruth wore during the Game 3 of the 32 World Series where he called his shot was auctioned off for $24.1 million. Sets a record for the most expensive sports collectible ever. A high school quarterback in Alabama passes away after suffering a brain injury, frightening, during a game on Friday night. He was 16 years old. How horrific is that story? Perella finish. Farmer's Almanac calling for a wet and long winter in the U.S. When isn't it a wet and long winter in the U.S.? Every year we get a crappy weather and crappy winter, don't we? At least I do here in New York City. It's every year. California man dies of heat exposure after crashing his car off an embankment in Death Valley National Park. He roasted to death. What could be worse? California mom mauled to death by dogs. That's worse than heat exposure in your car. The mom mauled to death after neighbors complained about a pack of 25 Great Danes running loose in the neighborhood. Can you imagine 25 Great Danes eating you alive till you were dead? I mean, picture that. 25-year-old Florida man drives his semi-truck through a strip club after getting thrown out of said strip club, killing a patron. He just wanted to get his swerve on at the strip club. Do you think the guy could get a cocktail and a lap dance? What's the problem here? A Christian restaurateur who boycotted the Olympics over the Last Supper drag controversy, arrested for attempted murder, rape, and kidnapping. Not going well these days, post-Olympics, for the Christian restaurateur. GTD is next. Go to VerrellOnTheBench.com for everything else. We'll see you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern with the mayor of Miami, Joe Ranieri, and I on Coast to Coast.